Let there be mushroom light. Hi friends, welcome to another video. My name is Gina and I make videos here about chronic illness, disability, fashion stuff and lifestyle and whatever I feel like at the time. If you're interested in those kinds of topics, please go ahead and click the subscribe button because it really helps the channel, and that way you won't miss any of my videos and get to see what weird things I choose to put in the background each time. So today I wanted to talk about something that I personally have a wealth of experience in, and that is how to stay sane while staying indoors most of the time. Like, I would estimate that I spend my time indoors in this house about 80 to 85% of my time. And that's for a combination of reasons. One is that I actually work from home, so I don't go out to an office or anything like that. Two is that I have an energy limiting condition, which means that I can't always get out and about even if I want to, as some of you may relate to. I also have a disability which sometimes gives me issues with mobility. So going out a lot and very frequently just isn't very feasible for me because of my health. And also it's January, like late January here right now, and it is peak, gloomy, cold British winter. A couple of my conditions just mean that going outside in the cold is a really bad idea for me. My joints get really stiff this time of year. If you have chronic pain, you may also experience, worse symptoms in the cold. I don't know, it's just something that happens. It seems to make my joints just freeze up. They should make de-icer for joints. That would be great. Okay, new idea. Don't steal that from me. That's my idea, okay? I also have POTS, which is a cardiovascular issue. And when you're outside and your body's trying to keep you warm, you really need a decent cardiovascular system to pump that blood around your body. It's just not a good time for me. I'm not here for it. It's not good. So yeah, there are a number of issues why going out in the cold just isn't an option for me this time of year. And so I tend to be inside even more than I would be in the summertime. I'm not someone who needs a ton of social interaction in order to feel fulfilled and connected with people, but I do really like nature and just being outside and going for walks around my local area. And so it is kind of upsetting when I can't do that, especially when I want to, because of my health. I don't have a choice. I think it's a big problem for people with chronic illness and disability that we often feel that we don't have a choice, that we have our choices taken away from us. We can't do the things that we want to do because our body is just like, no, I don't think so. So first of all, I just want to say that if you also feel frustrated that you can't get outside as much as you like, or there are things that you'd like to do or events you'd like to attend that you can't always get to, and you feel sad and frustrated by that, that is okay. That's totally valid. And that's why I'm here today, to share some tips with you that help fight my cabin fever when I get it, and I hope they can help you too. My first tip is to get yourself as much natural light as possible, especially if it's winter where you are right now, or you live in England and it's cold and grey and gloomy. Some days here are sunnier and some are just there's very little in the way of light, and that affects our brains as well as our bodies. So if you can't get yourself any natural light, if you fling open the curtains and the blinds and there's just literally nothing really coming in the way of sunlight, a really good option is to experiment with SAD lamps, which are seasonal affective disorder lamps, or daylight bulbs. I personally have seasonal affective disorder, and if I do not get a decent amount of natural sunlight, I feel a lot worse and I get symptoms of depression, really low motivation, lower energy than I already have, which when you have a chronic illness, you don't need that. You just don't need it. So I use a SAD, seasonal affective disorder lamp, every day for between half an hour and up to 2 hours. And that really helps my body recognize that even though it's grey and dull outside and there's no light coming in, it is actually daylight. It is actually daylight. Another option, if there's very little natural light where you are right now, is to try daylight simulating bulbs. These are bulbs that are of a certain spectrum, and make sure that you get a good one here because some of them are a little bit sus and like not actually what they say they are. So make sure you buy a reputable brand if you do this. But basically you can switch out your kind of yellow toned big bulbs in your lights for these daylight simulating bulbs, which make a massive difference. A friend of mine had one of these once, and I remember she turned on the light and I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm in a sunny glade. I was really surprised by the effectiveness of these to actually trick my brain into thinking that I had a lot of natural light coming in. And you can switch between using those in the day and then switching over to softer, more ambient, yellow toned lights or candles in the evening to really give yourself that transition from day to night, because sometimes, especially when it's dark and we're not getting out a lot, our bodies really can't tell when one day ends and the next one begins. And another benefit of these lights is that it does help with your circadian rhythm. So it helps your brain recognize, oh, it actually is day right now. We're in the middle of the day. Okay, cool, I'm gonna give you some more energy, have some serotonin. Whereas sitting in the middle of the great British winter in the dark all day because we can't get outside as much as we want to, it's not good for your brain or your body. Tip number 2 is ambient rooms and soundscapes. And if you spend a lot of time on YouTube or on the internet in general, you probably know what these are. But if you don't, allow me to enlighten you. I love these. I use them all the time, at pretty much any downtime when I'm doing work, writing, reading. I like to put on a ambient room or soundscape in the background on YouTube. There are loads of them. And basically what they are videos, often with like beautiful art. Alongside that, there is the ambient sounds that you might find in the space that you're searching for. There is really something for everyone, whether you'd rather be in a busy cafe or frolicking in a forest or on a beach somewhere. There are ambient soundscapes that can really be quite transportive and just kind of provide a really pleasant background noise when, you know, the alternative is just to sit in like dead silence, which not super fun, especially if you live in like a quiet suburban area and you're really craving that connection with the outside world. I personally use a lot of nature soundscapes with waterfall sounds and birdsong sounds. It's just really relaxing and a nice little bit of ambience to, again, like bring the outside in. And, you know, just pretend you're on a beach when actually, no, it's very grey outside. I just find that it brings kind of a different energy to sitting in a quiet room by myself, especially if I don't really want like a video or someone talking on in the background and I'm doing very focused work. It's just nice to have these non-disruptive sounds that kind of transport me to a nicer place. Tip number 3 is to bring nature indoors. It's an outdoors, indoors barbecue. No one's going to get that reference except maybe my mum if she's watching this. If anyone does get that reference, please let me know. So you can do this by purchasing some indoor plants, or if you want some more colour, you can get cut flowers and bring them into your house. It's just a really nice way of kind of brightening up a space and making it feel as if you're bringing nature indoors. I love buying cut flowers, especially seasonal cut flowers, because it kind of brings in the essence of the season that you're in. They also smell really good and they bring in a lot of colour. And indoor plants are also good too, because with certain types of plants, they actually purify the air for you, which is nice if you're feeling a little bit stifled of being inside. Speaking of, if you can, try gardening. Now I know that some people aren't fortunate enough to have their own garden, or maybe they just physically can't get out and about enough to do what some of us might consider typical gardening. Personally, I love gardening, but I do find it a bit of a physical struggle sometimes, especially in the winter. But even if you have just a sunny windowsill, there are kits you can buy where you can grow herbs and certain plants and grow things from seed. And that's kind of really satisfying and might even get you into a new hobby. And again, it's almost like bringing nature inside. You're able to observe what's going on outside without actually having to go out there and deal with the gale force winds and the frostbite and the very red nose. Did anyone else get that? I get like a red Rudolph nose whenever I go outside in like minorly cold situations. Like I'm not even talking like, you know, I don't live in Canada, but as soon as I go outside and it's below like 10 degrees, Rudolph right here. Number 5 is to give yourself something to look forward to. I think this makes such a difference. Just having something on your calendar that you're really looking forward to doing, that you can't wait to do, that's coming up in kind of the mid-distant future, that can be really nice and just kind of give you something to focus on, especially when you're spending a lot of time inside, maybe without seeing friends and stuff like that. It just gives you a nice positive boost to know you'll be seeing them soon and doing something fun. This doesn't have to be a grand day out or an expensive event or anything like that. And it can even be as simple as taking yourself off on a solo date somewhere. Maybe you'd like to go to a museum or a coffee shop or a bookshop, taking yourself out to buy yourself some kind of treat, whatever it is that you like to do. Just make a date for it and put it in the calendar and spend time looking forward to it. I've read a study recently that says our enjoyment that we get out of planning for something like a holiday or an event that we're going to actually outweighs the joy that we feel when we're there, which kind of sounds a little bit depressing. But also, the longer that you have as a run-up to this, maybe if you're pacing, you need a bit of a run-up to these kinds of events, the longer you have to run up to it, the more you can anticipate it, look forward to it, imagine what it's going to be like, and just get a lot of joy out of anticipating doing something fun. Of course, you can also plan for big events or trips with friends or family, but I would recommend, where you can, trying to make these things to look forward to something that you can reschedule if possible, just in case your health doesn't allow for it. And if you are planning something that you really can't reschedule, like a holiday or there's a certain event on a particular day, make sure you give yourself enough time in the run-up to the event to pace yourself, just to avoid disappointment, because No one likes that. Tip number 6 is to try out a new hobby or pastime or learn something new. This applies doubly if you feel that you're inside at the moment, maybe you're recovering from a flare-up and you don't really have much scheduled in to do. I recently started attempting to crochet and I've just been really enjoying it, and it's kind of a bonus that it doesn't take up too many spoons. I know that starting a new hobby tends to have a bit of a startup cost, so if that's something that's not really feasible for you right now, it doesn't have to be anything that you have to buy something for. For example, me and my partner are going on a trip to Spain next month, and I actually started learning some basic Spanish on Duolingo, which is a free app. This is not a sponsorship. I just really enjoy it and it's free. There are a lot of online programs too if you just want to learn about something. So take an interest of yours, something that you've thought, actually, when I have a moment, I really would like to learn about dinosaurs. My brain goes places sometimes, okay? It's fine. But with the internet, there are so many free resources, programs, apps these days. And if you have a particular interest, you might want to spend some time just learning about something new. It's fulfilling, you feel like you're really doing something with your brain. It doesn't take a lot of physical spoons, and it's just a fun thing to do if you've got a lot of spare time on your hands. Also, if you're really lucky, you can get into that flow state. A flow state is where we get so absorbed in what we're doing that time just seems to pass us by without us even noticing. It's really, really satisfying, but also, yeah, you may find that people are like, hey, it's time for dinner, and you're thinking, is it? Have I been doing a puzzle for like 2 hours? I can't pull myself away from the puzzle. We all have to eat in some way, shape or form, even if we're on very restrictive medical diets. And if this is you, solidarity, my friend. But one thing I like to do where I can is plan meals that have ingredients that are in season. It just helps you to connect to nature and what's going on outside. And things might be more scarce in the winter, but honestly, is there anything more comforting or just necessary than like, oh, I don't know, like a really nice, like hearty pasta dish in the wintertime? Like honestly, it's cold and icy outside. I have no interest in eating a salad, just no interest. So planning meals that are seasonal and filling and just remind you of the season that you're in, give you that nourishment and comfort that you also might want. I'm not saying comfort eat, although doing that sometimes I think is fine, but try to nourish your body with foods that are in season. And honestly, if you've ever eaten a strawberry in January, you're both very blessed and also maybe a little bit cursed, because strawberries don't taste good in January. Number 8 is to connect with your loved ones. So maybe you can ask a loved one to come over and have a cozy movie night in with you, or you can connect with your friends online if you have more online friends. So for me, I actually play games with my partner Kieran once a week, and I play games with my friend Ari every other week, and it's just really nice to be able to catch up midweek when maybe we can't necessarily get together in person. That's a seagull. I don't live on the coast, and yet that is a seagull. Hello, seagull friends. It just feels good to keep in contact with each other and keep updated on one another's lives, and also to have maybe a little bit of a vent if you're not feeling so good. It can be really tempting when you're inside a lot to kind of go into full blanket bunker mode and just sit there and, like, I don't know, whatever you like to do, read, play video games or whatever by yourself. But I can tell you that making the effort to actually reach out and socialize with friends and keep up with them, it's always worth it. Number 9 is mindfulness with the outside world. Please don't run away. I swear this isn't that difficult. I have had a meditation and a mindfulness practice now for, gosh, I don't know, regularly, probably about 3 years or so. And I find this to be particularly helpful and really help me calm down, especially when my system is kind of on overdrive or I'm feeling a little bit low or down. It really helps me to try and connect with the outside world by just having 5 minutes of mindfulness. This doesn't necessarily mean sitting with your eyes closed, being with your feelings if that's not for you. One thing I really like to do, for example, is to watch the sunset. There are some really amazing sunsets this time of year, even if being outside this time of year isn't very pleasant in other ways. And I'm very jealous of you if you are an early bird who can get up to potentially watch the sun rise. That's amazing. I really wish I could do that. I've never done it and I really would like to at some point, but I have to do it at the right time where I can recover afterwards, because boy, that is a long day. When it's getting towards sunset time, I like to make myself a cup of green tea and then go and sit in front of the window and just watch the sunset, just observe the colours, see the planes going over, watch the birds flying around. And yes, there are birds outside right now making sounds. Just watching nature and observing the sunset just really helps me calm down and just feel like I don't know, I'm a part of it all, even if I might be sitting inside a lot of the time. This one might not be for everyone, but I do encourage you to give it a try, because if nothing else, it's a really good de-stressor to just sit and do nothing. And I think we spend a lot of our time trying to fill downtime with things, with productivity, in order to kind of bolster our self-worth. But I think if you can detach from that and just see the value of spending time being mindful and just sitting with yourself and watching nature and appreciating the things around you and everything that you have, it helps. I'm not one of those people who's like, just be grateful. Like, I know you have a chronic illness and life's really hard and like you're in a lot of pain, but just be grateful because there are children starving over in that other country over there. That's not me at all. I don't think gratitude is the answer to everything, but I do think we all have at least some things to be grateful for. And at certain times in our life when we're not like super in pain, when it may just be impossible to feel gratitude or really be mindful, if you can take the time to be mindful, maybe if you're just tired and having a low spoons day, maybe it'll help you feel a little bit better. Number 10 is escapism, in whatever form it may take. For me, escapism comes in the form of books, video games, and other hobbies where I can, try to thwart a high elf treason plot, or just play a few games of virtual golf. While I don't recommend escapism super frequently because that may indicate there's something we're avoiding in the real world, I think used sparingly it can be a really lovely way to just pass some time and enjoy yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think escapism certainly has its place as long as it's done in a healthy way. So that's it. These are my 10 tips for being stuck inside with cabin fever and just feeling like if I have to stay inside one more day, I'm going to do something drastic. I don't know what. I'm not really a drastic person. Hopefully these tips helped you and you found something useful here, and if you have any tips of your own, feel free to share them in the comments below. If you'd like to keep up with me in between videos, you can head to the link in my description and follow me over on Instagram, where I post photos of kind of my daily life, what I get up to, and a kind of mini blog there with my thoughts about different things that I'm going through. And again, please hit that subscribe button if you'd like to be kept up to date with the videos that I'm posting every week or every other week. Chronic illness is hard, okay? I try to keep to a schedule, but it's hard. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Love and spoons. Mwah.